Good morning, KOTA territory. Welcome to First Sip here on KOTA Now, exclusively streaming on Facebook and YouTube. So if you're joining us right now, grab yourself a warm cup of coffee, a warm cup of tea, or a warm beverage in general, or if you know, just because the weather's a little bit warmer, if you want some of that ice stuff, go for that as well.
Big iced coffee girl.
Yes, I was going to say. I don't want to exclude, exclude those people.
Yes,
that like
our iced coffee people.
Yes, exactly. But for now, I'm Humberto Giles Sanchez.
And I'm Mimi Herrick. We talked about a lot of interesting stuff so far this week on First Sip, but I think what we're going to start with today is early childhood education, which is what we talked about today on Good Morning Black Hills. So we can just go ahead and jump right into it. Why is it important for kids to have sort of these early learning building blocks?
Well, there's a lot of there's a lot that actually goes on, especially when you're a child. You know, apparently, according to the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services, your career could also be chosen as a little kid based off of early learning. So based off how you interacted with certain subjects can determine where you go in life, where you go later in life. This is why it's so important for children to kind of get this early education get a head start, right? Get a head start in life. But you know, kind of talking a little bit about some of that. Like I said, it's crucial because it establishes a strong foundation for a child's academic future. Workplace, there's a lot that, you know, there's a whole list.
Social skills, also early literacy can give kids a huge head start when it comes to school. You know, even if your kid isn't fully ready to read the Harry Potter series, they can be reading picture books, kind of starting to put things together with context clues. Stuff like that is really crucial in these early education programs.
And it's also good to be able to kind of be there for them when they ask for help. Also, when it comes to literature or literacy rates, make sure that you're not just kind of putting them with a big book that they might not be ready for. There's a lot of children's books out there for youth that have like little levels on it that says 1, 2, 3.
I remember loving those when I was a kid.
And those have been updated throughout the years. A lot of the, maybe if you look at, I forgot what website it was, but they're updated a lot of the time. And some books that maybe we have, when we were younger, we thought were level 3 might be level 2 now or level 1, depending on how that book is now kind of shifted with the learning levels for it. But all of this early learning can lead to stronger workforce in general for whatever it may be that they are looking to work as. It can reduce the crime rates, it can improve health outcomes later in life, and it makes the kid a more engaged citizen in general. This is why there's a big emphasis right now. Everywhere in the nation, you hear we need to start teaching our kids young. And that is true. There's science and facts behind that because, like you mentioned, it helps not only develop social emotional skills, like I mentioned, it helps develop a plethora of other things. But if some of our viewers are interested, what are some resources here? I know we covered them a little bit on Good Morning Black Hill, but what are some of those resources?
So it's a little difficult here in South Dakota. We've talked about before on KOTA Territory News a lot about how there is a child care shortage in the state because there's not a state-funded preschool program, right? So it makes it a little bit more difficult for people to find those early childhood education opportunities. But some of the resources online that I found were an early childhood learning guideline online. It's from the state of South Dakota that kind of outlines, if you're looking for more of a homeschool approach, outlines what sort of skills and activities you should be doing based on what age they are, you know, before they go to school. And then once you get past that, then you can start getting into homeschool guidelines. But those guidelines are a great place to start, you know, just to see where you're at with your child. And then there's some other things. If you're looking for a program and you're not going to be doing education at home, Early Childhood Connections has a plethora of resources and places that they work with to kind of make a curriculum of sorts and work together with those programs to make sure that they're up to standard.
Right, exactly. No, and like we mentioned, like I love the fact that you pointed out, you know, that South Dakota has early childhood learning guidelines online because some parents, especially here around South Dakota, you know, whether it's public or private, whatever they decide to, you know, education at the end of the day.
Yes.
You know, and having that education is important moving forward for that child.
Yes.
Are there any other programs available for some of our viewers?
Yeah, so one of the ones, if you're in Rapid City, YFS, Youth and Family Services, great resource. They have tons of programs for kids of all ages, and the same sort of goes for the YMCA as well. The YMCA has a ton of youth programming from babies to 16-year-old, 17-year-old, 18-year-old kids. So it just really depends on what you're looking for with your child, but it can be anything, pretty much.
Yes, as long as your child is getting that early education and being able to reach those milestones throughout that education, you know, you're setting them up for a better, longer, more successful life. And that is what we all like to see when it comes to our children.
Oh my God, yeah. If I didn't play, you know, the reporter game in my preschool, I would not be here today. So.
Well, I was gonna say, if I wasn't in front of, I'm not gonna lie, I was a very big attention person when I was a little kid. So I would always love to be out and publicly talk. And according to my mom, the funniest thing she's ever seen me do as a little kid was get inside, like, just be in like a crowd of people and start dancing to the music that was popping off in the background. So I was.
Oh yeah, as you should.
Yeah,
as you should.
But you know, kind of before we wrap up here, some of the milestones that that is crucial for a better, successful kind of longer life, successful life. You know, is third grade reading proficiency. I know we have seen some of those reading proficiency numbers here in South Dakota fall. Again, there are various resources available for people in case, for students and youth in case they need that. Reading, you know, I was a very big anti-reading kid. I did not like to do it.
Oh
no.
my gosh.
I like to yap. I like to talk. So I was like,
our whole job is reading.
I know. I was like, I don't like reading. And then as I grew older, I was like, oh man, it's like, it's quite literally, it's everything.
Yeah.
And like, I can't, there's nothing that you can do to get away from it.
I'm not on that wavelength with you at all. Everyone knows I always have my Kindle on me. I'm always reading.
Yeah.
So
I was 100% not a reading person growing up.
That's insane.
Yes.
To me.
No, I would rather go outside, have fun, do stuff, hang out with friends.
Well, me too, but what do you do when it's raining? We're both from Illinois. We know it rains.
Yes. Well, what do you do when it's raining? At least for me, I would always just help my mom cook or do stuff like that. So I was always more with numbers. I always liked the math stuff.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, no, so third grade reading proficiency, you know, kind of help them achieve that high school, like I said, graduation, post-secondary education, make sure that third grade reading proficiency goes a long way. It goes actually the longest way possible when it comes to reading, because it actually helps them prepare for, like I mentioned, high school graduation, post-secondary education. It helps you get that gainful employment later in life. It helps you have that lifetime physical and mental health and well-being, avoidance of substance and use. Again, helps deter crime. And quite literally, the best thing that you could do to your youth right now is be able to teach them the basics, the basic building blocks for education, and have them again be successful later in life and lift themselves up for, well, the betterment of themselves. But other than that, you know, enough of ECE. I know that was a tough topic to talk about, especially a lot of my information for that was from the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. It was also from the DOE.
Yes, a lot of mine was coming from the state of South Dakota for those preschool things, and then also, you know, Early Childhood Connections, YMCA, YFS, lots of that.
No, and another big thing is another big thing was PBS. I was a big, I grew up on PBS. Yes, I grew up on Mr. Rogers. I'll sell that right
now.
now.
And Sesame Street, Martha Speaks. Great.
Yes.
Some of those educational programs really did actually teach me a lot.
That might actually be a topic we should kind of tackle is educational media versus non-educational media.
I do love.
Because there are differences when it comes to technology.
Especially with kids programs as well. Like there are a lot that are great. There are a lot that are more for entertainment than for teaching you how to spell.
All right, well, that's brewing then. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about road trips.
Yes, road trips are a lot more fun. Let's get some safety stuff out of the way for those road trips. If you're planning a road trip this summer, we all know South Dakota weather and weather anywhere could be pretty unpredictable. 1 second it's snowing, 1 second it's sunny, then it's cloudy. You never know what you're going to get. So safety stuff, always have an ice scraper. Again, even though it's summer doesn't mean that you can't run into some frost overnight, right? An emergency kit with first aid, food, water, blankets, jumper cables, actually anything you think you might need in case your car breaks down, you know, somewhere where you might not be able to get help for a number of hours, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. And I see that you mentioned here, you know, that the Department of Transportation, the South Dakota Department of Transportation website has some of those road conditions and closures in case that you need to look for those. I believe it's 501. I believe that is the website for it as well. You can check out that state website. It's a very good resource.
And our website has a lot. If you're just in the Black Hills in KOTA territory and you're looking for updates on road construction, we do actually keep up with everything pretty actively around here. So just keep an eye on our website, Department of Transportation.
We try really hard to make sure that you have
city website, all of that.
Exactly. But, you know, some of those people are traveling and, you know, they have, you know, they're like, all right, our safety checkbox or our safety box is checked off. What, if they are at a location, what are some of the kind of recommendations, you know, what are some of the tips for that road trip? If maybe, let's say they're here in the Black Hills.
If you're going to do something out in nature or really anywhere, you want to kind of abide by the leave no trace principle, or LNT. I'm big on that. Basically, pack out what you bring in, so that includes trash, food, and it's similar to the phrase, only take photos, only leave footprints. You don't want to affect the natural landscape around you negatively, and you don't want to ruin that experience for another traveler who might come after you by leaving your gum wrapper on the side of the road. No, it's gross.
No, and it's not. It doesn't look nice. It's also not nice for the wildlife there. You know,
not at all.
Let's say a bird happens to see a shiny thing, specifically one of those. What are they? It's like I don't want to say it's a raven, crow. If a crow happens to seize that and they're like, oh, nope, they eat it, that's bad for them. That is not good. So we don't want to make sure we don't litter. So that leave no trace stuff is actually very good to practice if you do end up going somewhere where there is nature. Even if you're in a city, they usually have trash cans over the place to go throw away.
You don't want to create like sort of a nasty culture about being gross and leaving your trash places, because that's just not pleasant for anyone. Another thing I want to say is if you are out in the wilderness, these are some wilderness tips here, is you want to stay on the path because that can hurt wildlife or you could get lost. You want to respect the wildlife. Obviously, don't pet the fluffy cows is what you said. Don't pet the bison.
No,
they're so cute.
If you are taking a road trip and are here, or maybe you're just taking a small little road trip through the Black Hills, as a little small vacation to treat yourself. If you see those bison down at Custer State Park, do not, I repeat, do not pet them or approach them. They are good to look at and beautiful at a distance.
Yes, exactly. Another thing, especially here and honestly anywhere in the western United States or anywhere in the country pretty much, be fire aware. Check for restrictions around fires. If you're going camping and you want to grill something up, it might not be the best idea, and you do want to check on those restrictions because you don't want to start a wildfire.
Yeah, and usually if you do end up, you know, if you do end up doing RV camping, usually the campgrounds have kind of that rule set in place beforehand to make sure that you follow those rules and not cause any unnecessary danger to the area, whether it's a fire or anything else. Also, if you do go camping in a tent, yes, it is good to look at kind of those state resources wherever you are to kind of check ahead of time if the area that you're camping in is very prone to fires or has very good fire conditions to start a wildfire, which we do not want. Which is why we are hoping for more moisture and rain.
Yes, right, especially here in KOTA territory. Another thing that I want to throw in as my last sort of thing before we get into your budgeting tips here is drive-through is awesome, right? I love drive-through. I'm sure you love drive-through. But if you can, try and support local. There's lots of awesome local drive-through actually around the area, especially if you're headed anywhere in the hills. There's a lot of really cute places where you can get really awesome drive-through food without, you know, maybe impacting local economies negatively.
Yeah, no, and if you do kind of something off of that, if you do end up wanting to kind of pick something up quickly, maybe order it ahead of time if possible. That way, when you get to the location, you're able to pick it up and then be on your way. That's a little alternative to kind of that drive-through thing as well. But talking about budgeting, you teased it a little bit.
Yeah, I did.
Talking about that money, because you know you might be planning a road trip, and the most important thing, aside from the safety, your safety, and kind of the other people's safety and the conditions of the place you are taking a road trip to or taking a trip to, is the money. Money aspects. A lot of, you know, there is this famous line from this musical called Cabaret. Money makes the world go around and makes your trip go well. One of the biggest things you need to do is budget. So budgeting, first of all, what you want to do is you want to take into consideration the location you're going to, the distance you're traveling to go to that location, the gas prices. There is a big difference here in South Dakota, especially for those gas prices. East River and West River have different suppliers for gasoline, so you want to make sure you pay attention for gas prices as well. You want to make sure you pay attention to the food around the area you're heading to, the accommodations, the number of people you're taking the trip with, 1, 2, or the children that you're possibly taking the trip with, or maybe even your friends. Also, the season you're going to. You're going to take that trip on. It's because safety, again, the season can also apply to the safety one. If you're traveling during the winter, you might need to.
Oh, I thought you were going to go in the direction of gas prices. Like when it's Sturgis Rally time, travel here is going to get more expensive.
That too.
Especially gas prices. Definitely noticed that.
Yes. Yeah, these are musts. These are, once all these check boxes have been checked, kind of those are the needs. Then you can start worrying a little bit about the wants. What do you want? Some of those souvenirs that you're wanting.
Always budget for a T-shirt.
Yes, exactly. Or a plushie in my case when I went down to Colorado.
Oh, fun!
Yes, I bought myself a little. It wasn't a beaver plushie. I forgot what the name of the animal, but it looks like a beaver. Let's just say it's a beaver plushie for now, because I will never remember that name during this segment right now. I'll tell you after the show once I'm able to look it up.
I'll let everyone know in the Facebook comments.
Yes, that's good. But, kind of souvenirs, like you said, T-shirt, plushie, whatever your kids might want, whatever you might want during the trip, make sure that you plan for the essentials first and then for the wants. That's the biggest thing.
And also some sightseeing stuff too. That really will get you. I was in Nashville not recently, I guess a couple months ago.
Oh, man.
But it feels
as pretty as Nashville is,
the Country Music Hall of Fame was expensive, way more expensive than I was expecting.
Yes, no, I will say I've been, even just going, oh my gosh, there was a restaurant called Hattie B's in Nashville.
Oh my God, yeah.
The food there was amazing. I'm a big fan of Nashville hot chicken.
So yum.
But it was, I will say, the food, because it's a tourism city, right? It's a city tourism. It was a little bit more expensive. I didn't really plan for that, so I kind of went a little bit over budget, which was unfortunate. But it was good food. But other than that, just make sure you plan for that. It's because you get those needs, or you get those absolute needs, and then those wants, like you said, souvenirs, extra maybe some food stuff, and whatever you might not be planning ahead to bring. So food and stuff like that. But additionally, you want to set aside money for emergencies.
Yes.
This is something that often gets overlooked. I know I am a big offender of this. I hate to say that because it is true. I have gone on road trips without having to plan for emergencies, but it's something that definitely should be on your radar, because if it's a road trip, primarily road trip here, right? You're going to need to plan for a possible flat tire. Flat tires is what I will say this right now. I thankfully have not gotten one yet, but I know friends that have, and they haven't planned for that. And it's like, well, now I have to spend all my budget money on that repair.
Yes.
So you do want to plan for that. Unexpected situations, medical expenses, speeding tickets, vehicle repairs, stuff like that. Those that can come out of the blue and ruin your road trip if you don't plan for it.
Oh, I've definitely, gotten screwed over a few times by that speeding ticket one. I am a big...
Yes, and
drive the speed limit. Be careful, people, because they will get you, especially when you're driving from here to Colorado. They love to get you.
And I know you're a big fan of this. A good way to keep track of that is spreadsheets.
Oh yeah, love spreadsheets.
I will say I'm not a fan of spreadsheets. I'd rather just write everything down on a list and then kind of have my money total at the bottom and whatever and whatnot.
I love a spreadsheet.
And I will say that's probably a little bit more financially better because it's a little bit easier to kind of keep track of. But, if you can, try to stay in your budget. Maybe give yourself a little bit, like a couple extra dollars to have there for any other wants that you might.
Definitely save up before a trip. It's not something necessarily that you can do on a whim unless you are having free accommodation somewhere, or X, Y, and Z visiting family, friends. There's always going to be unexpected things that pop up, like you go to a cool store and all of a sudden your $30 for a t-shirt because you're in a tourist city is not going to buy you a t-shirt anymore. So just plan for stuff like that.
But other than that, just be able to make sure that you're able to kind of plan ahead of time, whether it's for your safety, your kind of tips for sustainable travel, if it's to somewhere beautiful like the Black Hills, hills or to a city.
And let us know in the comments if you have any fun trips planned. I love to hear where people are going on vacation because then I can get some inspiration from there.
Yes, and along with that, please let us know how you budget. Maybe we can find some other ways that we can budget too. And I'm always open for new ideas and whatnot to see how I can better budget.
Yeah.
But other than that, thank you for joining us here on First Sip. It's been a pleasure to have you here. Thank you, whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook. Be sure to tune in again Thursday for another First Sip. Topic-wise, we're still brewing the pot, so you gotta wait a little bit. But tune in tomorrow for your
on it.
yes, cooking. Possibly no, but be sure to tune in tomorrow for your midweek weather update. For now, I'm Humberto Ile Sanchez.
I'm Mimi Herrick. Have a good day.